The General Geekery Podcast presents Spooktober.
All right.
This looks like the scribblings of a mad person.
But then again, aren't all author scribblings can be considered mad before they construct the thoughts into a solid entity, though?
Oh yeah, I have thousands and thousands and thousands of pages of fiction that no longer make any sense.
Fair enough. Oh, man. Have you written on your walls?
Not my walls. Oh.
That's a specificness, but yeah. All right.
This tea is excellent.
Oh yeah, chamomile tea. We decided to switch it up a little bit today, but it's okay. We could be a little bit fancy.
We decided I needed to calm down.
It's our anniversary episode, technically. And the last part is Spooktober! Woo! All right.
Oh!
All right. Apparently the moon is full because Hannah's going into full werewolf mode. Let's get on this. Welcome, guys, to the General Geekery Podcast, the 52nd episode of the General Geekery Podcast, the 1-year anniversary episode of the General Geekery Podcast, and the last episode of Spooktober 2024, the General Geekery Podcast. But we're ending it off strong. This is the podcast where we geek out about all that we love to geek out about with no remorse. No regrets! And I gotta back up for this one. This is gonna be the biggest one yet. Get ready. Hold on to your held on to your ears, people that have headphones. And with all the enthusiasm in the world!
Bloody hell.
Sorry, I got too caught up in the moment. I'm sorry.
Oh gosh. No, that was great.
I'll probably listen to it on recording and probably edit it, but it's okay.
Yeah.
As always, guys, this is Donald Kaczynski, your overhyped caffeine ninja by day and gamer, actor, streamer by night. And joining me, as always, my partner in crime, Hannah Kubiak, the amazing artiste, the Undertaker by day, dice slinger extraordinaire. She does it all. She does it all. Well, again, guys, before we get into this,
a moment of silence for headphone users.
A moment of silence for headphone users.
Yeah.
Okay, but again, guys, we also we will release the announcement video before this comes out. But we want to thank you guys again for sticking with us for an entire year's worth of podcasts and helping us get to this milestone and listening in, and it's been awesome.
Yes.
And we hope to have more episodes for you when we hope to see you at that 100-episode milestone. One day. It's going to be a long time, but we got a lot to geek out about. So, right now, let's focus in because we are in the last part of Spooktober 2020. And we've got a great one to end off on. I kind of alluded to it a little bit in our last episode about
I accidentally
games.
Alluded to it a little bit too early in the socials.
Don't worry. We're hyped about this one because this is a fun topic to end Spooktober on. Yeah. Hannah, you want to introduce this topic?
Yes, we are talking about the works of H.P. Lovecraft, specifically the Cthulhu Mythos.
Eldritch horror!
Yes! Okay, so H.P. Lovecraft is he's one of the most well-known writers of horror ever. He inspired authors like Stephen King, Neil Gaiman. He wasn't very successful or popular at the time, but now pretty much anyone who is interested in this genre knows who he is. So he is he's the mind behind the Call of Cthulhu, behind the Cthulhu Mythos, behind all of that stuff. A little bit about him that I got from biography.com because I think that's interesting.
Fair enough.
He was born in Providence, Rhode Island in 1890. Now, when I saw that, I knew that he was American, but I had kind of forgotten about it when we were doing Slender Man, and I was like, oh my gosh, the Cthulhu Mythos is American is like American folklore almost. It could be. Like, I was looking up basically how to pronounce the words that they're saying in the Call of Cthulhu, and people in the comments were literally like, well, thanks for doing that demo on YouTube. I hope it was worth your soul. And I'm like, oh man. So.
Okay, I have to get this part out of the way because like this was like a disturbing thing. Apparently, he had a cat that had the N-word in its name. Apparently, I was talking with somebody and somebody said that. I'm like, what?
Yeah, actually, something else that I read about H.P. Lovecraft was that he was a like confirmed xenophobe and white supremacist.
Oh, jeez.
But yeah, like if you read his stories, most of his people of color are basically just portrayed as like superstitious people who hop around fires and stuff.
God.
It's actually kind of icky, but
okay, it looks like we gotta shut it down. Shut it down. No, I'm kidding.
No, this is part of our history. So, H.P. Lovecraft's father was a traveling salesman who he developed a mental disorder from untreated syphilis when Lovecraft was 3. So,
okay.
Yeah. I wonder if it was cordyceps.
Oh God.
But anyway, his father actually he lived at Butler Hospital in Providence until his death in 1898.
Okay.
So, Howard Phillips, which is what HP stands for in H.P. Lovecraft, he was kind of a sickly child. He spent a lot of time at home. He read a lot. His interests included Edgar Allan Poe and astronomy, which it shows in his work. A nervous breakdown prevented him from finishing high school. He was a bit of a recluse and a night owl. He would stay up reading and writing late into the night, sleep late into the afternoon. He started off in journalism, and he even wrote a self-published magazine for a while, but he got into fiction around 1917 when the horror magazine Weird Tales bought some stories from him in 1923. He was married for 2 years to this woman named Sonia Green, but that fell apart. And then he wrote a lot of good stuff after that for some reason, like The Call of Cthulhu in 1928.
Okay.
A lot of elements from this story appear in other stories, in what is known as the Cthulhu Mythos. 23 works with this theme of monstrous entities traversing the gulfs of time and space, and humankind cowers in fright at the havoc they wreak.
Ooh.
So, yeah. That is a quote from hplovecraft.com, what the Cthulhu Mythos is.
Indeed.
So, and near the end of his life, he couldn't make ends meet, and he took lots of crummy writing and editing gigs to survive, which I actually applaud him for, because I can't even get anybody to let me do that.
Oh, man. Dang it.
I'm like, hey, will you let me edit for you? They're like, you're not qualified. You studied theater. I'm like, okay.
Theater degrees work, damn it.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, so he wasn't well acclaimed during his life, but ever since his death, his work has inspired a lot of other authors, such as Stephen King and Neil Gaiman.
Almost kind of similar to like how Tolkien inspired so much too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like it's almost like a weird parallel.
Yeah, and it's really cool because we've got Edgar Allan Poe, who had a huge influence on Lovecraft in his work, and then Lovecraft had a huge influence on Stephen King's work.
Yeah,
it's kind of like the generations of horror writers.
Yeah.
Almost like there are generations of, like fantasy writers, like who grew up reading The Lord of the Rings and
Tolkien was the godfather of all of that, and then you have like all these different other ones that have
Wizard
done
of
some
Earthsea.
Yep.
Yeah. So oh gosh, yeah. It's really cool. I wish that I could find this, but I was reading an introduction to an anthology of his work one time that I got at the library.
Okay.
And it was really interesting. There was sort of a lot of people said that his writing was basically trash, that it was like, what was the word?
Oh man.
What was the word? Like just like vulgar and terrible and disgusting and degenerate, indicative of a diseased and troubled mind, which so
it's like do you not know how many artistic people like have all those things that you mentioned, like trauma and everything like that?
Yeah.
It's because of those cracks of imperfections, everything like that, that so many great things have come out of like art and fiction and shit.
Yeah, like talk about Tolkien again. A lot of his stuff, really, especially from the Return of the King, kind of comes from his experience in World War I, like the planes in the trenches, in World War I. It's like with the mustard gas flying everywhere, and it's like it's a barren wasteland, and the very air you breathe is a poisonous fume.
Yeah,
you know, just if you look at photographs of like the landscape in World War I, it does remind you of Mordor a bit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so basing stuff off of your life and like use what you have. Yeah, it's people who have suffered have stuff to contribute. You know. So the Cthulhu Mythos, like I said before, is 23 works with the sort of themes of like monstrous entities. They either come from space or other dimensions or deep in the sea. These fish people called the Deep Ones, they are mentioned sometimes.
Yep.
And then the great old ones, obviously.
The great ones.
The great, yeah.
Oh man.
And these creatures have sort of inspired a lot of different things that have branched off from them as well. Like in Dungeons and Dragons, one of your patrons as a warlock can be a great old one. And is a mind flayer based off of like Lovecraftian stuff? Because it definitely looks Lovecraftian.
Yeah, I can definitely see it. Like Dungeons and Dragons like takes inspirations from like a lot of different like fantasy sources, and Lovecraft lore is definitely one of them.
Yeah, and there are like lots of board games, RPGs. Like there's something called the Mountains of Madness, and
we'll get into that impact stuff in just a bit.
Oh yeah,
I've got tons to talk about in that department. You've got the impact,
good. I've got the source material right here. Look at this. I actually got this on Amazon.
She has the full complete works.
The complete fiction of H.P. Lovecraft.
The complete fiction, like literally a book. We're going to be taking a photo of it and actually showcasing it because this book is huge.
Yeah. And so, yeah,
it's as big as my anthology of Shakespeare.
Yep. And
actually, I'll compare that. Keep talking.
Yeah, it's great. I got it on Amazon. It came. I opened up the package, and then I just sat on the couch and read for the rest of the evening.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was great.
All right, let's compare the thickness. I've got my complete works of William Shakespeare.
Yeah, it's actually a little bit bigger than this one, but yeah.
True, but still, like, also. You have a nicer one because yours is hardcover. Mine isn't.
Hardcover, yeah.
Why did I not go for hardcover? Yeah. Darn you, 2012, Donald!
All right. So I'm going to talk about a couple of stories that are in the Cthulhu Mythos.
By all means, fire away.
I'm writing myself a note for some stuff that we're going to talk about later.
Interesting.
Okay, so the Cthulhu Mythos. These are all of them. I just wrote them all down because it wasn't a short list, but it was a short enough list.
Fair enough.
So
got a bullet point it.
Yeah. The titles, they're all pretty spooky. Let's start with Dagon.
Okay.
Oh, all of these descriptions of the Cthulhu Mythos stories. I got them from Polygon.com. This awesome article by Emma Stefanski.
Okay.
With like beautifully creepy illustrations by Michael Bukowski. I just want to show you some of these. I brought them up on my phone. Okay, so
le phone.
Le phone. Here's some of the art you will be.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, and like for every entry, he has drawn like one of the creatures. Like, if you want to just scroll through this article and look at the pictures,
sure.
That's but yeah, go to that article. It's really worth it. So Dagon, I've actually read this one. It's very short. So if you want to put somebody into the shallow end of Lovecraft, just to introduce them to sort of the whole Cthulhu mythos and everything, start with Dagon, because it's got everything like creepy creature, cults, insanity, but it's only like 2 or 3 pages long. It was written in 1919, and it has a lot of elements, concepts that he explored later. And in Dagon, a morphine-addicted man finds a pillar with a bunch of hieroglyphs that tell of the deep ones, these ancient fish people, and then he meets one, and it drives him mad. that seems to be sort of like the way that a lot of Lovecraft's stories end, which I wonder if having that experience of like a nervous breakdown when he was young, if that kind of contributed to that. I wonder to like just his interest in writing about like the edge of sanity, basically, and going beyond reason and all that.
There are several stories like based on like the Lovecraftian like horror like that is not directly by H.P. Lovecraft that have explored that, but more on that in a minute. But
yeah, it often like, let me see, let me find Dagon actually. Dagon. Oh, it's like the 3rd story in the book.
Hey, look at that.
Yeah, this is a classic ending to a Lovecraft story. They they end with like insanity, and it's kind of a cliffhanger where you're like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen to this person? Here's the last paragraph of Dagon.
All right.
The end is near. I hear a noise at the door, as if some immense, slippery body lumbering against it. It shall not find me. God, that hand! The window! The window! Maybe he jumped out the window to escape the horror. I don't know.
Hey, Thomas of This Spoken World, if you can hear me, when are we going to be getting some episodes on H.P. Lovecraft?
Yes! Oh,
I know you're doing Edgar Allan Poe for October, but we would love to hear some H.P. Lovecraft.
Oh, yeah.
If you're interested.
Read a story, like a story. We'll post it as like a guest thing, maybe.
Indeed.
Oh, man, that'd be awesome. There's another story from the Cthulhu Mythos called Nyarlathotep? Nyarlathotep.
Oh, Nyarlathotep.
Nyarlathotep.
I actually know how to pronounce that.
Nyarlathotep. It's about a resurrected Egyptian sorcerer who brings beings to Earth from another dimension.
Yeah, that one's a thing. My God.
Yeah, I haven't actually read that one.
Actually, if I'm not mistaken, I think there's actually a villain in old Doctor Who that's almost kind of based on Nyarlathotep.
Really?
Yeah, it's this ancient cosmic being in original Doctor Who. You actually, it's a being by the name of Sutek that always reminded me of that particular mythos. Yeah. Yeah, just like this cosmic being that is in the place of like an Egyptian like lord and everything like that. It's a kind of a stretch, but it always springs to mind like that particular person.
Yeah. Okay, a couple more here. The Call of Cthulhu.
Of course, that's probably like one of the most well-known ones.
Yup. It is about an octopus-headed dragon god. The story of how an expedition released the old one. And it kind of centers around these weird statuettes, and it's about these people who, on the same day, they all go insane and start babbling about this mysterious Cthulhu thing.
Yep.
And it all has to do with the statuettes, I think. The idols of Cthulhu. And there's like a scene where a bunch of people are all like on this island, just like going crazy, worshiping Cthulhu and stuff.
Yeah, it's nothing like how South Park did it, where like literally Cartman, because apparently according to that specific episode, I think it was BP, like the oil company, apparently drilled too deep and released Cthulhu, and Cartman befriends him.
The dwarves delved too greedily
and
too deep.
You know what they awoke in the mines of Khazad-dûm. Fire and anger and flame.
Shadow and
flame.
There
Shadow
we
and
go.
flame. I was like,
I was like,
wait a minute. Like, shit, what was it?
Like, my Lord of the Rings quote senses are tinkling.
Yeah, I felt it too, and I'm like, dang it, you read for Saruman when you did a reading of it. What's wrong
that
with you?
was so fun. Oh, okay, but yeah, the Call of Cthulhu, one of the most famous ones. I read it. It's not my favorite, but it does establish a lot of the themes that we find in a lot of stuff. By Lovecraft. Another one, The Color Out of Space, I thought was really interesting. It's basically about this asteroid that lands in this field on this farm, and the land is poisoned by this substance that leaks from the asteroid, and the substance is of no known color. Like, they can't describe what color it is.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's really weird, and it poisons crops. It drives the farm family mad. I read this like a couple years ago. I think some of the family had to kill each other, but I don't really remember.
Ooh.
It was like they went insane, and either somebody went insane and murdered the rest of the family, or they all went insane one by one, and one member of the family had to kill each of them because they were just out of control and losing their minds.
Interesting.
So, there's another one called The Mountains of Madness. It's a longer novella, and it's about these Antarctic explorers who they find a bunch of fossils that could be from extraterrestrial creatures, and we learned that the extraterrestrial creatures created these sort of servant beings for themselves called Shoggoths.
Okay.
And we, the human race, may be descendants of the Shoggoths. So Lovecraft also has this sort of theme of we as humans are not exactly human.
Right.
You know, or of our origins and stuff. Like he had a lot of theories about, well, not really maybe theories, but just like imaginary fancies of where we came from as people and what life is beyond that is influencing us, and like, did we truly belong to this world at the beginning, you know? Which may be sort of like how his sort of just exhausted and saddened and traumatized mind was sort of trying to reach for the sublime. Do you know what the sublime is? It's that feeling that you get from something that makes you feel like you are the most important thing in the world, but simultaneously insignificant. So, like, when you're standing on a rock in the middle of a field, looking up at the like clearest starscape you've ever seen, that's sublime. So
like the heights of euphoria and the darkest depths of like nihilism
simultaneously. Yeah.
Nice.
So I think that maybe that was sort of Lovecraft's version of the sublime, but he kind of, because he's kind of got the same two ideas, where it's like, oh yes, we're descended from something that came from beyond this world, descendants of the stars, but we're here on Earth and we're disgusting, creepy, crawly creatures and like all this stuff. So that's cool. I didn't even think of that until just now. Okay, here's one that I read. This is the one that I read the other day when I sat down with my book as soon as I got it and read it. Was I think The Shadow over Innsmouth. Yeah, I'm just looking to see what it was called. Yeah, The Shadow over Innsmouth, which is about this guy who goes to visit the town of Innsmouth, Massachusetts. And he's visiting it, and the people are just kind of weird. Like, their heads are narrower than you would think, and they kind of are prematurely aging, it looks like they're getting kind of like scabby and wrinkled, and they just look odd, and they're all very reclusive and secretive. And when he comes to visit the town, he's basically just waiting there. He takes a bus to this town, and then he's waiting there for like a couple of hours until another bus comes is going to take him to his next destination. But he ends up having to stay the night there because the bus didn't come. It's an unreliable bus. And he learns a lot more about this town than he wanted to. And what it ends up being is it's about this... It's about the residents of this town made a pact with the Deep Ones and breeded with them to make a race of fish humans that turn more and more into fish people as they mature. And eventually they'll like dive into the sea and never come back. And apparently this makes them immortal. And they're like, yes, people have gone down below and have visited their great-great-grandfather and then come back, So... Donald is losing his mind. What is so funny about fish people, Donald?
I'm actually kind of like giddy and like hilarious because I'm like, oh my god, this story actually relates to like one of like the legacy things that I'm going to be talking about.
The legacy things? Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Like, so much of what you're saying is like bleeding into like one of the main legacy things I want to talk about, which I'm like, oh my god, I know people are probably going to know what I'm talking about. But, oh my god, I'm ready.
And I am not going to tell you how this story ends, but it shook me. It shook me pretty bad.
Damn.
And, I'm trying to find it because I just want to... 866. There's like... I think that he took a little bit too long talking about how he was wandering through the town and looking at all the architecture and stuff. I didn't really care for it, but as soon as nighttime came and the like fishy people were trying to get into his hotel room and they were like chasing him through the streets in a mob, I loved that. That was tons of fun. And it was, so these people, they're fishy, if you know what I mean. They just behave in a fishy way.
All right.
And one more.
Oh, one more?
Okay. This is a story that
Bring it on. I'm enjoying this.
This is a story that I haven't read yet, but it is on my list to read. And I'm actually going to read the description of it from Polygon by Emma Stefanski.
Okay.
So this story is called The Whisperer in Darkness, and it's this creature. Ding.
Oh god.
Yeah, it looks like basically a bat with lobster claws and spider legs and a stinger and a giant head that looks like a hedgehog. So, this is what Emma Stefanski says about The Whisperer in Darkness. My personal favorite Lovecraft story, The Whisperer in Darkness, features evil crab aliens, mind control, and disembodied brains in a tale so gross and weird, I'm surprised it hasn't been made into 100 movies already. Albert Wilmarth, a literature professor at Miskatonic University, becomes embroiled in a controversy after a local flood dredges up what looks like strange creatures based on countryside legends. A young man, Henry Akeley, invites him to his house, where he says he can prove the existence of these creatures, and tells Wilmarth of a race of beings from the stars that worship the Old Ones, have the ability to extract human brains, and travel with them through space to their home world of Yuggoth. It's one of Lovecraft's most fun stories, and ends in such a creepy way that I dropped my book the first time I read it. So that made me want to read this story next.
Man.
But yeah, that's basically what the Cthulhu Mythos is like. It's just, it's like, you think of people poring over books, dusty books in libraries, and then all of a sudden some sort of squelchy tentacle thing comes and drives them insane. That's basically Lovecraft stories in a nutshell.
Amazing.
Then I have some fun stuff when we're done with the topic. But yeah.
Got it. Understood. Okay. Can I talk about some of the legacy?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay.
It's like, are you quite finished?
No, it's not quite finished. I'm just like, after realizing like some of the stuff on there that makes some of the legacy bits like all the more better, I just realized that I'm like, oh my god, I have so much to talk about. So when we were researching this topic, Hannah took on the original like source material of H.P. Lovecraft, all of that. Me, I decided to go the opposite route and look at like all of like the existing media today that draws inspirations from like the Cthulhu Mythos and Eldritch horror and everything like that. Like there are a couple of like references to Cthulhu in like parody kind of ways, kind of like in South Park and everything like that. There is a reference to like how the Great Ones work in the horror film Cabin in the Woods. Like, there's kind of like a weird kind of like a reference to that, where it's kind of like to make sure the Great Ones do not rise up, like there has to be like human sacrifice or something like that. And there's actually some creatures in that film that are inspired from like H.P. Lovecraft inspired. Like there's kind of like a mer person like inspired by that fish people kind of representation that you explained. But the biggest example of H.P. Lovecraft, like I've found in almost all form of media, and I've been holding off on like getting into depth with this in several episodes, is the 2015 game Bloodborne. Oh my god! So, Bloodborne is a Hannah has seen my little brother play this on stream before. So basically, what Bloodborne is, it's done by the same same game company that produced the Dark Souls series.
Yeah.
So it's basically it's a survival RPG game where you basically fight through hordes of enemies and things like that in order to achieve it. But the lore surrounding this world, the world of Yharnam, has been touted by many to be one of the best constructed lores in the history of video gaming, not only in reference to like the world in the game itself, but also the inspirations that it takes from the Lovecraftian horror. And actually, the fish people that you were talking about is actually in this game.
Oh goodness!
Let me see if I can find a picture of it. Fish people, Bloodborne.
It's actually kind of like that fungus creature in The Last of Us, in where there's certain different stages.
Yep, this is them.
There's different stages of. Oh wow!
Yeah.
Ah, they have barnacles on their heads.
Yes, the design. Yes.
Oh man, part of the crew, part of the ship, part of the crew.
Yeah, and this is another version of.
Ooh.
Wait,
which part of it is its head? That part right there?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I see this.
This is from the DLC of.
Oh my gosh!
Is that you find like the fishing hamlet thing in order to find like apparently the next offspring of like this world's version of Cthulhu, the Orphan of Kos, which I have to show you this thing. This thing is something else. The Orphan of Kos.
What the hell? Does he have a hand on the back of its hand?
Like that big red thing?
No, there's his hand right there, and then there's another like these things. There's another sort of spiny like.
Oh yeah, that kind of is. And
wait, is he like his hand is like two hands, and it just kind of like.
Yeah, kind of.
Like a claw, but each claw is a hand. Ew.
Oh yeah, and that red thing?
Yeah.
That's the umbilical cord.
Of what?
He was just born.
Oh, that's disgusting.
Yeah, so the lore behind Bloodborne is actually directly inspired from... Apparently, the scholars of... If I'm remembering this correctly, I apologize to any Bloodborne fans if I am butchering this lore. I greatly apologize. You'll probably tell me how wrong I am on social media. I will absolutely take it. But Yharnam is an established city. The scholars of a university called Bergenworth found this blood that is apparently from one of the great ones, one of the old ones, and they had discovered that it had healing properties. One person apparently took the blood in order to found a healing church of the blood, and people from all over come to Yharnam to utilize the healing properties of this blood.
Okay.
Like, everything is related in this game goes back to this blood.
Mm-hmm.
But the blood can be very addicting, and it can transform people into these beasts.
Ooh.
These creatures and everything like that. These deep, dark secrets that... Of all that. Like, and the people of Yharnam are very suspicious and very reclusive when it comes to outsiders. Kind of like how you said in that one story.
Yeah, in Innsmouth?
In Innsmouth, exactly. Yharnam is... I'm almost certain Yharnam is based on Innsmouth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would think so.
There's so much of this game that's based on Lovecraftian, like, stories and everything like that. It's insane. And you play... Your character is this hunter that basically hunts these beasts in order to... Basically an emissary of the church.
Cool.
Essentially. And there's this giant deep lore of, like, how the blood was distributed, how Yharnam basically started going to shit with these, like, night hunts where, like, people who are turning into beasts or anything like that are basically hunted down and killed and everything like that. The blood's distributed to, like, every single manner of creatures. Like, the bat creature that you showed me, they're basically turned into that. Like, pigs become a little bit, like, tentacly and almost Cthulhu-like.
Ew.
There is so much going on. There is so much. Hold on. Let me see if I can find the pig. You have to see to believe this, because, like, this thing gave me nightmares when I first saw it. When I first saw my
Oh boy, well, definitely show it to me then.
Yeah. Where is it? All right. There the thing is.
Oh, that's not so bad.
Yeah, it's not as bad as I thought, but. There was one.
It does kind of just look like a giant turd.
Yeah, it does. It's not as bad as you think. Oh wait, here's a close up of it.
Does it only have one leg?
No, it doesn't have one leg. But
what? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well, okay.
But it becomes giant and stuff like that.
Ew. All right.
Oh, Jesus Christ. But yeah, there's so much to this world, and like, I love it. Like the lore behind it is so incredible. Apparently, you fight like you have to kill like the next offspring of like this like new new old one or thing like that. You basically have to kill it by killing its like Lovecraftian wet nurse. Oh my god.
Oh my gosh.
There's so much. There's so much to say about this that I can't condense. But my god, I really want you to like experience like I need my little brother here with me to like help explain this world.
I love that.
But when it comes to like influences in today's of like all the influences that Lovecraft has had, Bloodborne is probably like one of the biggest direct influences and probably the biggest love letter to that genre as a whole. Like, so much of, like, what makes Bloodborne great comes directly from the literary works.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's awesome.
It's so great.
Oh.
Yeah.
What else has been inspired by the mythos?
There have been a lot of board games based on like the Lovecraft mythos. Like you mentioned it before. Like I actually played one of them. It was like a card game or something like that. And like you just see like all these different like creatures that are inspired from it, and you're just more intrigued about like the designs of everything like that than the games. The amount of fan art that artists themselves make of like all these different creatures in like destinations and locations from Lovecraft is inspired. Like the fish people, like the village, like that entire culture.
Yeah.
Just, and it's inspired. It's like I love looking at more of the artistic side of like all that than like some of the direct literary sources. There have been very few like like sometimes things will be taken for like stuff for like television and movies and stuff like that, but it's not like a direct thing. It's just like taking a small element from it.
Yeah.
There are very few examples of like utilizing the entire like library of Lovecraftian works to influence something.
Yeah. Ooh, another one I want to read is The Rats in the Walls.
Oh my god, I heard that one is one of the top ones.
I've heard that there is quite a twist.
There's one specific enemy that I'm trying to find. Oh my god, where is it?
Follows 30 seconds of silence.
No, 30 seconds of silence.
I am pouring through my book. Because I just noticed that in the back there's something called The Life and Times of H.P. Lovecraft. I'm like, I wish that I had known that was here. Oh, it's just a timeline of stuff that happened.
Right.
Oh. This is interesting. In the back of this book, The Life and Times of H.P. Lovecraft actually begins with the publishing of Edgar Allan Poe's The Narrative of Arthur Gordon Pym in 1837.
Really?
Yeah, which Lovecraft wasn't even born yet.
Huh.
1845, The Raven is published. Some more Poe stuff. Oh! June 20th, 1890, Oscar Wilde's The Picture of Dorian Gray is published. So that yeah.
Oh yeah,
that
right,
was
Dorian Gray.
Yeah, that was maybe a sort of inspiration for him as well.
Oh yeah.
And then later that year, Howard Phillips Lovecraft is born. The only child of Winfield Scott Lovecraft and Sarah Susan Phillips. Yeah. 1893, Lovecraft's father develops a psychosis and is institutionalized. There's lots of other stuff that was published.
Oh wait, where is it? Oh yeah. Another Lovecraftian thing is apparently like an experiment that utilized the entire populace of Yarnum known as The One Reborn. I need to show you the video of this because this one unsettled me.
Okay. Let's do this.
If I can find it.
It's Spooktober. I'm here to be unsettled.
Alright, here it is.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no!
Ah!
No, I did the wrong thing. Shit!
It's like, hey, everybody.
Hey.
Okay.
So just like the architecture like that you see like in this,
Yeah.
the pale red sky.
It's kind of reminiscent of Castlevania, actually.
Almost, yeah.
There's a spooky guy ringing a bell. Is he summoning the fish people?
No.
Come, my fishy friends, come.
This is actually kind of worse.
Oh, no. Ah! The moon is shrouded in darkness. Oh my gosh. Okay. Ah! What the hell? Ah! Tentacles coming out of the moon!
That's not tentacles.
Oh no, it's slime, and those are... Oh, that's disgusting. Whoa, skeletons. And stuff. What? What? Okay. Ah! Oh my gosh. It's like a giant skeleton thing inside of another giant skeleton thing. Oh man, it's like a spider. A skeleton spider. A skeleton spider with a torso on the front. Oh wow, it's like a
spider version of fucking Envy from Full Metal Alchemist.
Oh man, yeah, it's like a spider tar.
Kind of, yeah.
A skeletal. Wow, yeah. Imagine being the animator for that. Working on that for 12 hours and then going home to your wife and kids.
Apparently, the entire design team that worked on that game was like, this is our magnum. Like, this entire game is our magnum opus. We are never gonna top this. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people tend to agree. Mm-hmm. That's the crazy thing.
Oh my gosh.
There's an entire community, like a fan base, a cult following for Bloodborne, and by extension, more people have been interested in like H.P. Lovecraft's work because of that game.
A cult following is fitting.
Makes sense,
mm-hmm.
Especially considering like apparently there have even been like religions based around like the Cthulhu Mythos.
No, that's so stupid.
I mean, people have done religions on weirder stuff.
I guess so, yeah. There's this funny meme that goes around every couple of election years where it's like, Cthulhu as a parody candidate in elections. It's like, vote for Cthulhu 2020. Why choose the lesser evil?
Yeah, apparently several different writers have claimed like certain things. Like, all right, the novel The Satanic Rituals, written either by Anton LaVey or Michael A. Encino, includes an essay which claims that the works of Lovecraft carry a partial truth used in the same symbolic manner as Satan.
Huh, okay.
Which is kind of weird, like, when you look at it.
I mean, there are some similarities, like, with human sacrifice and everything.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, man. I guess when I said that having actual religions based on this, I actually wouldn't call it stupid. Per se, but maybe worrisome.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's kind of like cannibalism or something. Be like,
right.
Okay, practice your religion, but don't do human sacrifice.
Oh yeah,
or devour the flesh of others.
Oh, and apparently H.P. Lovecraft did either himself or was an inspired episode. Did a was the central point for an episode of season 6 of Supernatural.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, he opened a doorway and let something through, right? By accident.
Right.
Yeah.
There's actually another film based on H.P. Lovecraft inspired works from 1993 called the Necronomicon.
Oh.
I've actually heard about this.
I have too, I think.
Haven't seen it, but I have seen it. The 3 stories in the film are based on 3 of Lovecraft's works, including The Drowned, The Rats in the Wall, and Cool Air.
Cool Air?
Yeah, basically, Cool Air, The Rats in the Wall, and The Whisperer in Darkness are the 3 that they based the 3 stories in the Necronomicon off of.
Whisperer in Darkness. That's the one that I want to read.
Yes, that's a fun one from what I heard.
Yeah. Oh, in a series. It was 1990.
It was a 1993 French film.
1993 French film. Ooh.
Yeah, the Necronomicon.
Yes.
Kind of want to look into it now.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, there's something about Eldritch horror that just sparks a curiosity and an interest.
Yeah,
even if you've never heard it before, even if you find these designs some of the most abominable and gut wrenching and turning, you just have to wonder how.
Yeah.
How did it get to this? Why is it like this? What inspired this? It reels you in.
Yeah.
It's one of the most body horror inducing, macabre kind of horror imaginable. But at the same time, like, it's so inspired.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it sort of goes right to the heart of one of our most, like, instinctive reactions to things. It's the fight or flight kind of thing.
Right.
Like, Lovecraft is quoted as saying, "The oldest and strongest emotion of mankind is fear, and the oldest and strongest kind of fear is fear of the unknown."
That is true.
So
that's instinctual, like, from birth.
Yep.
So that is entirely based in truth.
So one of the fun things that I did was this was me at 1 a.m. last night. I was watching YouTube videos about how to pronounce the Cthulhu, like, words. There's this one sentence they repeat over and over again in the Call of Cthulhu.
Oh my god.
That it's difficult to pronounce because it's supposed to be unpronounceable.
Right.
Because it's not uttered by human tongue. But the words mean, "In his house at Rie, dead Cthulhu waits dreaming," is what they said. But this is the words. I wrote it down.
Okay.
This right here.
Oh yeah.
And I'm going to attempt to pronounce it based on what I watched on YouTube. Okay. I also watched a YouTube video that it was teaching like the basics of grammar in Abyssal. So,
oh wow!
Like, all of this over here is how all the different, like, sounds are pronounced. Like, I literally have one here that is like this combination of letters. It's just phlegm. You just go. Okay, and I recommend watching on YouTube The Gentleman Gamer reading the Cthulhu cultist chant as various characters. So he does it as different people. He does one as Christopher Walken.
Oh my god.
So this was me at 1 a.m. All right, here are the words, and that they say, and this is how people recommend you pronounce them. Funglui moglu naf klulu rie wagan nagal fatagan.
Let me see if I can give it a shot.
Go ahead. It's right there. This is the phonetic pronunciation that I have.
Okay.
It sounds like you speaking in this language sounds a little bit like Elvish, actually.
It sounds like Black Speech Elvish.
Or yeah,
it's for some reason, like, reading it out loud, it's very reminiscent of, like, the Black Speech of Mordor. Mm-hmm. That is the language of Mordor, which I will not utter here. We're not drunk, I swear.
Flinglulu. Oh, and there was this other thing. It was just a comment on a YouTube video that it said Cthulhu Fatagan. What a wonderful phrase. Cthulhu Fatagan. Ain't no passing craze.
There are some people that are all about this mythos, and it's just so fucking great. Excuse my language. But it's probably okay. I've made all the Spooktober episodes explicit just because we may go over some stuff, but hey, it's alright. But damn. So great. So silly.
Yeah, I know.
Oh man.
Oh goodness.
This mythos is so much fun. Like, it's so inspired and just creates so much imagination in people.
Yeah.
And it's just based on, like, some of the most macabre crap that you can imagine. Why are humans so interested in like the most disgusting things? I don't understand us sometimes. But God bless our demented minds.
I don't know, man. I guess maybe the more we know, or the more we imagine, the more we won't be surprised.
Makes sense.
Maybe. Well, fear of the unknown, right? So it's like, well, if I've thought about and imagined this hideous, terrible thing, then when it appears, it will not be unknown.
Indeed. That's very true.
I don't know. That might be a bunch of...
But hey.
Photogin.
Yeah, a bunch of photogin, indeed. But I think that's probably going to be it for this, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think we're good to go.
Yeah, the H.P. Lovecraft, God Almighty, what a mind.
Yep.
What a mind to create all this and a legacy left behind. My goodness. So much. Definitely worth reading. Definitely go check it out, guys. I think that's going to wrap us up. Guys, thank you so much again for listening to this episode of the General Geekery Podcast. And thank you guys for listening through Spooktober. We are done for now until next year. But if you guys want to listen to all the previous episodes of Spooktober, as well as all the previous episodes of the General Geekery Podcast as well, aside from this one, please make sure to follow us wherever podcasts can be found. We are on Spotify. We are on Spreaker. We are on Stitcher. Hopefully we'll be on Apple Podcasts by the time I release this. If you guys don't have any access to any of those services, you can also find us on YouTube at my personal YouTube channel at Anime Rev Productions. So definitely go check it out on there and leave a comment and everything like that. Absolutely. We love interacting with our audience. Definitely check us out there. And you can also find the podcast on social media at General Geekery on General Geekery on Instagram and at Gen Geek Podcast on Twitter and Facebook. I almost screwed it up for the 15th time.
Yep.
I swear, I need to watch myself and I need a cue card for this.
Also starting today.
Oh, that's right.
October 30th.
October 30th, that's right.
Which
also,
is actually in the future, but
Yeah.
Today, October 30th.
On the release date of this podcast, we can officially announce, guys, the release of the General Geekery Podcast Patreon page.
Woo!
We now have a Patreon page. If you guys like what you're listening to and you guys want to support the show in any way, shape, or form, please go check out the Patreon, which we will link in the description of this episode. We have different tiers for all different kinds of rewards and things like that. For our patrons, we will list off all of the patrons that support us for this episode. If you donate at a certain tier, we'll probably announce your name either at the beginning or the end of the show or episode just to give you guys a shout out. So thank you guys so much for doing that. If you choose to do that on a monthly basis, we appreciate it. Yes. And you guys are doing a lot to help us get more out there, bring more stuff to you guys, and it's always great. Thank you guys again.
So excited.
It's been a year. I'm so happy. But that's then. This is now. Hannah, where can they check you out at?
Well, you can find me rolling dice with my party every Monday at 7:30 Central at twitch.tv/loadeddiceadventures. I play Petra, the Dragonborn Ranger Rogue, and there's lots of shenanigans always going on, fighting creatures, talking to goats, stealing sacred artifacts and becoming cursed by them. It's a great, fun time.
Just for the love of God, don't become Lovecraftian in that curse.
And then you can also find me at my other podcast that I do, the Splank Mix podcast, which I co-host with my mom, where we talk about art, literature, and tabletop gaming, all from the perspective of two different generations. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, you can find me at Pythian Legume.
Indeed. And for me, guys, you can check me out on Twitch as well at Ryuzaki MK7, where I play a variety of games, most RPG-based, but we do a lot of different fun. I sometimes do some live voice acting stuff for the chat for when I do RPGs. I always love interacting with you guys. I always love giving off a positive atmosphere and safe place to be in, so definitely come on by just to say hi or just to see me tear my hair out at some of these games. It can be very frustrating at times. And you guys can also check me out on social media on Twitter and Instagram at RyuzakiMK7 as well. And as I said before, you can also check out my YouTube channel, Anime Rev Productions, where I upload a lot of my streams and stuff and different videos. I should be doing some comic dubs soon. So here's hoping on that once I can get that started. But I think that's it for now. Guys, this has been episode 52 of the General Geekery Podcast, our 1-year anniversary episode. The final Spooktober 2020 episode talking all about H.P. Lovecraft and Eldritch horror. First, we're going to do a premature clink clink just because. Sure. Cheers to a year anniversary.
Clink clink.
May more years come. For Hannah Kubiak, I'm Donald Kaczynski, and until next time, guys, thank you again so much for listening to us this past year. Hope we haven't freaked you out too much with the H.P. Lovecraft. I hope you've been inspired by some of the stuff that we've mentioned today. But while you do so, always remember to keep your geek on.
Always.
And that final clink clink.
Clink clink.
Thanks again, guys. Have a good one.
Bye.
Thank you again for listening. Special thanks to The Twilight for this episode's intro and outro track, Self-Delete. You can check this song out in the description below, or, if you so desire, please follow The Twilight on soundcloud.com/The Twilight. Thank you again, and a happy Spooktober to you all.